We live in bizarro land. Every morning I wake up, I don't know where the hell it is I'm living. I know my surroundings, I know my city, but I read the news, and I don't read the same news everyone else reads. And my mind goes back to a lot of myths and legends I studied growing up. I feel like I'm living in the Twilight Zone. We have politicians that dance around naked and have orgies with gay male porn stars in San Francisco in the redwood forest, and they sacrifice effigies of children to fiery rituals to stone owls, and we trust these people with our lives and fortunes. There's an old myth that dates back since the founding of mankind. It goes back to the very first man and woman on earth, and it has to do with Adam and Eve. And the very lie, the very first conspiracy that was ever told, the very first one that ever existed, and it said, if you take a bite of the fruit of this tree, you shall not surely die, you shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. Well, we fast forward about 6,000 years, we have people that believe the same way, and they think that they're a solution to things. We have people even in the truth and freedom movements and liberty movements that believe that they will be as gods, and that their solution is to call upon these so-called roaming spirits that they call their ascended masters, that they believe will actually help us conquer the problems in our world today. Well, I have news for them people. That is the same exact people, the same exact spirits and forces that the New World Order, who sponsor all these politicians dancing naked in forests to rituals, those are the same people that they're pushing from their own beliefs. So my rant today is more to do with my anger at these freaking weirdos that are dancing around naked in forests and making sacrifices and raping children and just committing all sorts of vile darkness. Far worse than 9/11, far worse than Oklahoma City, far worse than the Federal Reserve, far worse than anything we've probably ever had any conscious knowledge of or any awareness of, things we read about and don't know whether or not to believe. Well, I have to say that I can believe it, and that's what makes me sick, and that's why I come out to events like this, because it's a start. And I think that the more we raise awareness of the very rarely known things, I think the more change we can make. And that's basically it.
Good job.
Woo! Gracias, señor.
Good job, Ryan.
All right, judge number one.
Judge number one. All right, so Ryan was talking about the people in the forest dancing around naked. He was describing the Bohemian Grove. It takes place once a year, every year in the redwood forest of California. For content, I'm going to give Ryan an 8. For timing, I'm going to give him an 8. For not telling us that he was talking about Bohemian Grove, by assuming that we all knew what Bohemian Grove is, I'm going to have to give him a 7.5 total across the board.
All right, 7.5, judge number one. Judge number two. She's pretty consistent, isn't she?
It was very well developed, and, the sort of the storyline that ran through and going from the beginning and back around. That was good storytelling. Well done. I got lost a few times in the middle. Wasn't sure the spirits, and I was probably thinking of something he had already said, and I missed something. But so content-wise, I think it was great. It was great imagery. Lost me a little bit because I wasn't really sure exactly what you were talking about. But so in terms of content and everything, I would go 8.5. The only thing I think it was lacking was a little bit of a connection with the audience. And some of that is just more public speaking, and yeah, exactly. Trying to make eye contact with people. That's important. But so I think overall I'm going to go 7.
Judge number 2, we got a 7. Judge number 3.
I actually like the way you did the presentation itself. Just kind of, like you said, I wouldn't say there was a connection with the audience, but almost like you didn't need one. And, well, whatever that means. But the point is, I like the way it came up. And the thing is, I almost disparage that type of content these days. It's almost a little dark for me. Yeah, I really don't doubt that they go through all that. You know it. Yeah, that's absolutely despicable things to do. But you know, there's reasons to not listen to what those men have to say that are a lot easier to swallow for people than trying to convince your average person that these guys are total Satanists. Which, like I said, I believe they are. But that's not usually where I go with the conversation these days. So with that, I gotta deduct a point or so and. Go with 6.5.
6.5. Okay. Our next contestant is another one.